So don't take that.
We won't take up.
Yes, let's be the
Pods.
in
Episode 21.
Should we do another run of that?
I reckon that one was pretty good. But just in case editing James decided we need one. Episode 21
Of Pods.
in
The Key of Springfield.
Field. Today we are looking at Season 3, Episode 1, Stark Raving Dad, and Season 3, Episode 2, Mr. Lisa Goes to Washington.
Mr. Lisa goes to Washington. Mr. Lisa, a character, of course, that we had not met up until this point.
No, odd that they would introduce a character at this point.
Yeah.
Season 3, Episode 2.
And it's the only episode that Mr. Lisa is in, and Mr. Lisa looks identical to Lisa Simpson and basically replaces her for the duration of the episode. It's strange.
It's a bit of a weird choice.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of it, but we'll get to it in a moment. We're going to start with Stark Raving Dad, which is, of course, a play on the phrase Stark Raving Cad, when a caddish fellow comes into your house and starts raving and ranting.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it was...
You've already got your pen in your hand, and we're using this very sensitive microphone.
Yeah, it's going to have to go over there. I thought the title of this episode was a play on the Stark raving fad in the 90s when raves were all the rage, and people would go nude or starkers, and they would go stark raving, and it was a fad.
No, you're thinking of the park raving fad, where people would go into a park and hold, like, those silent raves where everyone's wearing their headphones and they're going doof, 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 doof.
Oh, the doof, doof, doof,
Yeah,
doof.
doof, 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 doof.
But the silent, you said.
Yeah, but they're going doof, 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 because they're listening to the doof, doof music.
The people are going doof, 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 doof.
Yeah, they're going doof, 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 just in the park.
Ah.
It's stark raving mad, frankly.
I have so much to learn from you, James.
Yeah, and tonight you're going to learn some things. Maybe we'll all learn something.
Could it be a phrase, could it be a twist on the phrase, Clark Raven clad, where a house is clad from materials bought from, presumably, real company, Clark Raven?
Are you talking about the three-eyed Raven, who was, of course, Bran Stark originally?
Wait.
So he was the Stark Raven. Well, he wasn't a dad, unless some theories about the last season of Game of Thrones pan out.
Oh, it's a Game of Thrones thing.
Yeah.
Cool. When you said three-eyed raven, I was like, sorry, not familiar with this. Is that a new Ben & Jerry's flavour? I didn't know.
I suppose if you hadn't seen Game of Thrones, the phrase three-eyed Raven is a bit of a weird thing to just throw in there.
Yeah, because
Bran Stark is the three-eyed Raven, by the way.
Because I thought you meant Raven Simone, who had her 90s sitcom, That's So Raven.
And that is so Raven of you to even think that.
I've done it again.
What's this podcast about?
Well, I mean, as a couple of messages we've got from fans have indicated, it's loosely based on The Simpsons, but actually it's a springboard for us to talk about it bullshit.
I like the way your skin kind of crawls when you say the word fan, like you're confused by it or alarmed.
Yep, the bugs are under my skin.
Yep.
Chalkboard gag for Stark Raving Dad. Bart is writing, I am not a dentist.
Yes, very curious, very interesting. Because I have, up to this point, honestly thought that Bart was a dentist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
The way he's always playing with people's teeth. He's like pulling them out, replacing them. Putting them in his own gums.
In his own gums.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's what most dentists do, right?
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Huh. Okay, so when you go to your dentist, what usually happens?
Well, he takes out all my teeth and puts them in his own gums.
Okay, thank God. So it's not just me then.
Well, yeah, but we do go to the same dentist.
Yeah. Clark Raving Dad, yeah.
Clark Raving Dad. Is that what you just said?
Yes.
That's very, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, the podcast is done. Michael's clocked it. Clark Raving Dad. Fuck. Okay, perfect.
in Springfield.
My first note for this episode is that the wall phone has the correct number of buttons.
All right. Is it not meant to?
Now, remember in a previous episode, I mentioned that the old school phone that they have only had 9 buttons, which means that they don't have
They don't have a 0.
a 0 or a star or a hash. The one that hangs on the wall next to the fridge, correct number of buttons. That's the first thing I noticed in this episode.
Ah, very good. Well, what was this episode about?
This is the one where Homer wears a pink shirt and is, for some reason, committed to a mental asylum as a result of it.
Yeah, it is the most early 90s plot point imaginable.
It is ridiculous.
I can imagine, like, a character on Friends wearing a pink shirt and being lambasted for it.
Sure.
Even a character on Seinfeld.
Yes.
Maybe. Why are you wearing the pink shirt? Jerry, that's the pink shirt you're wearing. I'm George. I also have feelings about the pink shirt. I'm Elaine. What's the big deal? It's just a pink shirt. You ever see that episode, The Pink Shirt?
The episode of Friends that you're currently quoting from.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
The one where Phoebe calls herself Jerry all episode. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, very abstract episode. Very Dada-esque.
Stark Raving Dad. Okay.
That's what it was called, yeah.
And so
the one where Phoebe goes Stark Raving Dada.
Oh, God. So when Homer is committed to the mental asylum, he meets Michael Jackson
Yep.
in the mental asylum.
He certainly does.
And then the whole town turns against them. There's a riot. Homer gets killed. Death dream.
So Lisa's turning 8 in this episode. Turning 8 years old.
8.
I remember growing up, turning the age of the individual members of The Simpsons. I remember turning 8. I remember turning 10 and thinking, I'm Bart's age now. And then turn 11. I'm older than Bart now. Last week I turned 30. I'm an old man now. I keep thinking about how close I am in age to Marge, who is, I believe, 34 when the show begins.
Right, yep. Yep.
I think when it starts, they put Marge at 34, they put Homer at 36, and then Homer gradually ages up, and I suppose Marge does as well, just at the whims of the creators of the show. So that's been on my mind, that I'm now in the age bracket of the elder Simpsons.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, because I turned 31, because Pods in the Key of Springfield has the same birthday as the two... the podcast doesn't have a birthday.
No, and if it did, it would be in January.
It would be. Anyway, yeah, no, I turned 31. I am severely disinterested by how old I'm getting, actually.
Yeah, me too. But I feel like I've never been that invested in my own birthday. And because of that, I find Lisa's attitude towards her own birthday in this one slightly baffling in places. But that'll come up a little bit later in this very episode of Pods in the Key of Springfield. Don't forget to like and subscribe. So right near the start, Bart calls up the Krusty hotline. Do you remember hotlines?
Yes.
Yeah.
I once... did you ever play DuckTale? No, Quackshot. Did you ever play Quackshot video game?
Was that the name of it? Quackshot video game?
Oh, I think it was actually called Quackshot the video game, maybe. I might be wrong. It was a Donald Duck game, and you had a plunger gun that shot plungers that you could use as temporary ladders.
As opposed to a plunger gun that shoots nails.
Yes.
Yep.
And the gun could also shoot popcorn and bubblegum for some reason. I once called the Quackshot hotline to get like tips on how to get past the level.
Wait, this one game had a dedicated hotline?
Yeah, man.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking? What?
Yeah, no, I did.
Why would one game... Are you sure this wasn't like the publisher's hotline? Or
well, okay.
Wasn't like the Nintendo Power line or whatever the fuck?
It may have been one of those.
Okay.
It may well have been a publisher one, but all I remember is it was called this number for Quackshot tips.
Okay.
And this was like on the back of the game. Like this wasn't something I saw scribbled on a bathroom wall. And I thought, yes. No, so I called that and they spoke so quickly that I had to call back probably 2 or 3 times before I actually got the information I wanted because I couldn't pick it up.
I'm just trying to imagine somebody who has that job just to know this one specific game very well, which is actually kind of my job now that I really think about it.
How many hotlines have you got?
I've got, frankly, Hotline Bling. So many of them. But I can only mean one. Do you ever play Hotline Miami?
No, but I've heard it's really good. You
It is
told
really
me it's
good.
really good.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. So Hotlines, that's a very 90s thing.
Yeah, because now we just have a thing called the internet that has all of the information on it, and it's all perfectly verified as true and correct. So
Yeah, absolutely. I get all of my information from Wikipedia and Breitbart.
Jesus. Yeah, no, that sounds fair.
Yeah.
I get most of my Donald Duck.
That and the Zionist News Network.
Yeah.
Donald Duck, where'd you get your news from?
Well, I was going to say that these days when I'm playing Quackshot, I tend to get my tips directly from Milo Yiannopoulos.
Should we take a moment to denounce both Breitbart and Milo Yiannopoulos?
Yes, we should.
Hey, Milo. Fuck you.
Yep.
Okay, so Homer accidentally wears a pink shirt to work because little Barty boy...
So did that come through the speakers or just my headphones?
Just your headphones.
Oh, sweet. Cool. Because it just went... Ba-ba-ga-ba-bum. And it was really loud for me, but anyway, that's fine.
All right, we're going to keep that in the recording. Little Barty boy, little Bart, who
Little
is...
Barty boy.
the-
Little bright Bart, because he's very clever, right?
Yeah, Breitbart.
Yeah, Breitbart.
As
Okay.
we have always called him.
Yes, we have.
Hey, Milo, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Little Barty boy, he puts his lucky red cap through the wash. Homer's shirt comes out pink.
Mm-hmm.
So Homer wears his pink shirt to work, and he's very worried.
Can I say he's very triggered much? I don't know if that's
I guess you can.
Sorry, I'm going to stop riffing on the Milo thing. Nesquik's better.
Everything is better.
It's true.
So he wears his pink shirt to work, and he's worried that he's worried that people will judge him. I was writing notes here saying Homer is the most insecure of men. You know, like masculinity is a prison that Homer is caught up in. He's terrified to just, wear this shirt. This is silly of him. But he's right. Everyone judges him immediately, and he gets shipped off to the insane asylum. It is the most early 90s of plots.
Yeah, and he has the line, "I'm not popular enough to be different."
Yeah.
Which is a really interesting line because it does, encapsulate all the things. But you would think from the setup of the episode, looking at the episode with a 2017 brain, you would think that the episode would turn into a learning moment where, actually, no, Homer, everyone just is cool with it because who gives a fuck? It's a shirt.
Yeah.
But no.
Literally today, same-sex marriage has passed through the Senate.
Yeah.
And will be legalized in Australia. So this was very much on my mind while we're watching this.
I
Because
thought
the implication is that Homer is worried that people will think he's fruity in some way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gay. Or just like,
Ah.
outside of the established straight male norm
Right.
that everyone at the plant falls into.
Outside of a very
Which
limited...
is why I say fruity instead of gay, because I think his...
Sure, okay.
would be-
Outside of a very limited scope of masculinity.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
And turns out he was completely correct to be worried about that.
Yes, absolutely.
In
he
a
was.
weird twist.
Because for some reason, Mr. Burns has a bank of colour monitors where he watches employees enter the building.
But I think it basically works in the context of the episode, because the episode is, I want to say, very critical of how we treat mental health problems.
Sure, okay.
This might be a bit of a reach, but I think
Sure.
my reading of this episode was that it actually recognizes the issues with how mental health is treated and recognized and all of that.
Okay, quick question.
Sure.
If we're talking about ways that we treat mental health,
Yeah.
do you think the Dr. Marvin Monroe take-home personality test... I'm going to take that again, sitting slightly further back. Do you think the Dr. Marvin Monroe's take-home personality test... Fuck. This microphone's too good. If I face too far away...
Try it with your hand over your mouth, maybe.
It's not a bad idea. Do you think that the Dr. Marvin Monroe's take-home personality test is a good or a bad diagnostic tool for mental health?
As far as I can tell, it's the very best method that we have available
very
to us.
best.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
Yeah.
That was worth the 9 takes it took.
I mean, that's how I evaluate my mental health. I just tick a bunch of boxes and it tells me, you know what, you're probably fine. The fact that the darkness seems to be closing in is not that big a deal. Just, why don't you just, man up?
I've got a
piece
question.
of shit.
I've got a question.
This is the Milo Yiannopoulos test, by the way. I took. It was on Braveheart. I just ticked the boxes and it told me.
I've got a question. When you say the darkness is closing in, do you mean the mid-2000s Brit rock band?
No, I mean the 2008 or so video game by Starbury Studios, The Darkness.
Starbury.
Based on the comic book series with Jackie Escardo, I think his name was.
Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah, Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail.
He wrote some great video games, from what I understand.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He wrote Hell's Angels, which was later adapted into Road Rash.
Fuck, really?
No.
Oh,
I'm obviously lying.
Got me all excited. Road Rash is one of the games I loved as a kid. Never rang the hotline, but one of the games I loved.
Okay, that's a shame. That you never rang the hotline. I mean, it was a good game.
I thought you were swinging real hard against one of my favourite games then.
Yeah, it was great. I enjoyed it.
If I ever hear you besmirch Zombies Ain't My Neighbours, which in Australia was just called Zombies, things are going to be difficult.
I was thinking about this episode in the context of it being a season premiere.
Sure.
And because it's been a few weeks since we've recorded an episode as well, it's very comforting being back with these guys, being back in the house, being back with this family. It feels like they do a little bit of reintroduction in parts,
Sure.
Like the establishing shot of every character sort of tells you a little something about them. I like the shot of Marge with all the hairspray.
Yes.
All the other stuff that's going on in this episode. Felt very nice.
It's good.
And then eventually we get home and watching America's Funniest Home Videos or something along those lines.
Yep.
And we get 3 videos. Man breaking hip.
Good.
Dog on fire. Baby with a nail gun.
Yes.
I was thinking,
Yes.
all of these videos would still be viral sensations today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely they would. And if anything, I took away from this that that was meant to be a comment on how low entertainment had sunk in 1991. Well, I apologise to break it to the writing staff of the 1991 era Simpsons, but man, it's got worse.
Yeah, now we've got a man gets turned, tag a dog this hot, and oh my god, look at this adorable baby. Holy shit, that man is dead.
Well, hang on, were they the 2017 rewritings of those 3 videos?
Yeah, sure.
Man gets turned.
Yeah, man gets turned. Tag a bloke this turned.
Ah, okay. Oh man, I know. Look, I don't want to sit here and talk about memes, but those memes where it's like, here's 20 names, tag someone. Far out. I don't get the appeal. Anyway.
No, don't ever tag us in those things.
Please don't.
Kind listeners of the show. Unless you really want to tag maybe the Facebook page for our podcast on these very popular memes, get us some listens. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if you can find one of those lists where one of the options, in amongst your Steves and your Toms and your Arnolds, if there's one that says pods, why not tag pods in the Key of Springfield?
Yeah, and if you want some berries that will give you more energy, I've got a whole shed full of them, and I gotta off-sell them somehow. All right, I'm trapped into this pyramid scheme, and I'm looking for a way out. I need your help. Have you heard of Michael Jackson?
I'm just going to pause there to read you a moment for our brief sponsor, ShedFullOfBerries.com. You'll love a shed full of berries. Definitely not a pyramid scheme. Definitely haven't got a gun to my head.
Come buy pemmican from us today.
ShedFullOfPemmicanberries.com. Do you think if this episode was written in 2017, it wouldn't be a Pink the Colour shirt, it would be a Pink the Artist shirt that Homer didn't want to wear to work? Like, all the shirts were destroyed. The only one left was Pink.
Okay.
The pop singer.
Yeah.
And that's what he wears to work.
And then if it was a Modern Simpsons, Pink would be in the episode and the entire episode would be about Pink.
Yes.
Have you seen the Lady Gaga episode of The Simpsons?
No, is it good?
No. I can't even joke about it. It's very bad. We'll get to it eventually.
I believe our friends Elliot J. O'Neill and company over at the Simpsons Index, I believe they did not rate that episode well.
No, because it's bad.
Because it's bad.
Tremendously bad.
By the way, I'm sure that if you are a listener of ours who is listening to this, you've probably seen us flog this all over our socials. But by the time this episode goes up, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were lucky enough to appear on an episode of The Simpsons Index.
The Simpsons Index.
The online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. We appeared on the podcast, and then our data was put in the spreadsheet.
You know what? One thing that podcast definitely has over us.
What?
They talk about The Simpsons sometimes.
Oh, shit. Yeah, okay. Hint taken.
So have you heard of Michael Jackson? That was my question.
Yes, I've heard. Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of this so-called Ben and his rat army, but I have heard of the Michael Jackson.
Yeah, Ben, we need to look no more. We both found what we were looking for. It was in the episode of The Simpsons.
Oh, is that's...
He says Homer.
See, that's the part that I found difficult to deal with.
Because Homer and Ben are different names.
But then he sang that one, Homer Jean is not my lover.
And then he sings Hotline Ben. You know, it all links back together. Everything is interconnected.
So let's talk more about Stark Raving Ben.
Ben, if you're listening.
Ben, hello. Lord Ben 10. I've got...
That is too specific. That is a joke that nobody will recognize.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. I've got...
Reference to a specific person
I've got an insult watch.
that only I know.
I've never met him.
Anyway.
I'm not dignified enough to meet a lord, let alone Lord Ben 10. I have an insult watch.
Okay.
Mayor Quimby refers to the town of Springfield as a jerkwater burg.
Jerkwater Berg.
Jerkwater burg.
Is that like Alec Berg's burnout son?
Alec Berg.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Jerkwater, get over here.
Hey, jerkwater. I mean, that would be a prime case for, I believe it's called nominative determinism.
Jesus, okay.
the concept that certain names can have an influencing effect on a career or profession. You know, like if you call someone Jerry Steak, they might become a butcher. Don't know why Jerry had to be there.
Don't know why it's the surname either. That's
Well,
because surnames used to denote.
Oh, they used to denote profession.
Yeah,
True.
that's why you got like some people with like the surname Shoemaker
Yes.
or Schumacher, which indicates you're going to drive really fast.
Yes, totally. Yeah, so the... I probably butchered that explanation in nominative determinism, but my point was calling your son jerkwater would be a pretty good way of ensuring they turn out to be a jerkwater.
I have a lot of notes left.
Yeah, man.
So do you.
Don't let me hold you up.
It's just, you know, I had this cousin Jerkwater. He was a really nice guy, but because he was called Jerkwater, people always thought he was wetter than he was, you know?
So what you're talking about is nominative moisturism.
You know, people are like, hey, buddy, you been in the pool again? What's going on? But he was dry as a bone.
That reminds me of that Friends episode where Chandler was going, could I be any more in the pool? It shrinks.
Fuck. What's the deal with being in the pool? That was Joey.
How you doing in the pool?
These are barely even jokes.
I don't know what's happening.
We haven't even had anything to drink today.
No, literally nothing. Maybe that's the problem. We're mad dehydrated.
So this very, very briefly turns into a very loose parody of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And we get to see that the Chief is there. And I'm glad to see the Chief is doing well, because I have been worried about the Chief since he broke out of the asylum at the end of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and ran away.
I also have seen movies.
Yeah, I'm talking about the book here, Nick, so try to keep up.
No, I've not read the book.
Nick, do you not go over the reading list I give you before every episode?
Oh, sorry, I thought I had to read the list. I didn't realise I had to go find what the things on the list were connected to and read those too.
Okay, so when I get into Cervantes later, you don't have anything to...
Cerveza?
Yeah, Cerveza.
Mexican for beer. Oh, I've been getting stuck into the cervezas. Don't you worry, mate.
Okay, brilliant. Good.
Okay.
We're set then.
Okay, good.
All right.
Sweet.
There's a scene where Bart imagines when he finds out that Homer is in the mental health institution.
Yes.
He has this dream sequence where Homer's had a lobotomy.
Sure.
And I've never thought about it too much, but this is a very weird scene.
Yes.
As Bart imagines, he's got one of those paddle ball things where he's got the paddle and the ball attached to the string.
Yep.
And the ball bounces off and knocks over a lamp. And the lamp breaks, and Homer says, "That's okay, son," because he's lobotomized.
Yeah.
This is such a mundane fantasy
Oh, I mean,
that Bart has.
How many times has Bart broken a lamp and no one's done anything anyway?
Yeah.
It is very mundane.
It's one of his defining traits. When Matt Groening originally pitched the show, he said, Bart's the kind of kid who breaks a lot of lamps. And his parents, not that fussed, frankly. So he's one of the building blocks of the show, and he just, he imagines...
Building blocks of the show, yeah, right. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and he said, Maggie's always building blocks, but nobody ever notices that they spell out E = MC squared, which actually happens in the second episode. Yeah. So, very weird that Bart's fantasy of Homer being lobotomized doesn't amount to anything more than Bart playing with a very antiquated toy, breaking a lamp, and suffering no repercussions.
Do you think they held back on that because if they thought they showed Bart getting away with, destruction of an entire town and then lobotomized Homer being there, that would make the scene a little too horrific? Whereas in this, it's just a little silly bit of nonsense, kind of like peeling a mushroom. Just a silly little bit of nonsense.
Have you been peeling your mushrooms?
No, I don't. That's why I think it's nonsense.
Wait, is that a thing people do?
Oh, in the 80s they did.
Why?
They used to... Oh, God, this is such a specific thing. In the 80s, it was very trendy to put too much effort into food. And so you used to peel mushrooms in a certain way that when you looked at the result, it would have like a swirl pattern going around it because you've peeled it off in kind of... in creating ridges as you peel it.
Remember how I said at the start of this episode that we were all going to learn something? Mm-hmm. Turns out I was right.
Remember how just before we hit record, I said I refuse to talk about The Simpsons tonight? Turns out I was right.
Homer is in the mental health institution for quite a while before anyone contacts his family. And even then, nobody actually contacts Marge. Homer has to ring up himself and say, "Hey, I'm here. Mamma mia, please come get me."
Sure. Yeah.
Which is odd.
And then mamamia.com.au started a Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, it was a GoFundMe, I think.
Oh, sorry, a GoFundMe. Oh, because then they get to keep the funds even if they don't hit the target.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. That's clever. I like it.
It's smart.
Yeah. And then they had to send. I think it was they sent a helicopter to pick him up. I'm not sure.
Well, eventually, the stakes drop from quite high to almost nothing. Homer just gets out because he's not.
Sure.
He doesn't belong there, obviously, so he leaves. Michael Jackson, who we have not talked about at all, now that I really think about it, who is in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Pop sensation Michael Jackson, playing a character who believes himself to be Michael Jackson.
When you say pop sensation, do you mean those little vinyl dolls?
I do, yes.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, those are, to me, sensational.
Sensational. Big shout out to the Adelaide podcast boys. Sensational.
So... they leave Michael Jackson again playing himself, except when he's singing. Then they get an impersonator to do that. Yeah,
I find that because I've known that bit of trivia for a long time, and I find it I've always found it very strange. But I think tonight you've really hit the nail on the head for me with your hypothesis about what the explanation was.
Was that the egg flip theory that I had?
Fuck. No, it was your theory that he probably had a contract with Sony or MCA or whoever.
You mean like my real life theory? For
yeah. That said he can't do any singing that's not for them. Which makes sense.
Yeah. That or this is just like a Michael Jackson from a different dimension that has kind of flipped in to this dimension.
I mean, it would be pretty remarkable for a Michael Jackson from another dimension to flip into the actual Simpsons recording studio and for no one to think it was noteworthy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is odd. Or it might, I don't know, it's like talking and singing are very different kinds of work when you sing for a living. I don't know, there's some reason for it. There's also the fact that Michael Jackson was an odd gentleman.
Yes.
And there might have just been a odd reason.
He was an eccentric man.
Yes. And maybe just like the cost of recording him would have gone up astronomically if he had sung.
Sure.
Who knows?
Sure.
Who knows? So, yeah, they go back and it's not really Michael Jackson. And everyone says, Michael Jackson? Then he gets out of the car and they say, "That's not Michael Jackson." And then Lisa's very sad.
So they rock up back from the mental institution.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, to be honest, that at no point, like, I know that Marge is a dag,
Yeah.
but I'm surprised that she didn't have enough cultural awareness to know, especially because it's shown that Bart has a copy of Michael Jackson's album. I suspect that means Marge was the one that bought it. So it's odd that Marge doesn't have just enough social awareness to know that, hey, this guy isn't Michael Jackson.
This is very clearly not Michael Jackson. The most famous singer probably of the era.
Yes.
Yes.
What's your favourite Michael Jackson song?
My favourite Michael Jackson song is Lisa, It's Your Birthday.
Oh.
Or possibly Do the Bartman. I fluctuate between the two.
I mean, they are both classics.
Everybody, if you can, do the Bartman.
And then you'll go to the Bo Show.
Exactly.
Yes.
No, you can't go.
Oh, no, but if you do the Bartman, you can, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, this is interesting.
I think there's a bit of a little hidden clause there.
A bit of a thing, is there?
I once called a boat show hotline. And it said you can't go if you haven't finished mowing the lawn. You can go if you've done the Bartman.
Okay.
For anyone that hasn't heard Eat My Shorts 3, that bit probably doesn't make any sense for you, but that's fine.
And statistically fewer people have heard that one than Eat My Shorts 1 or 2. Especially 2. 2 really went off. I don't know.
Yeah, 2 was good.
Yeah.
Well, 3 was really good, I thought.
Yeah, I like that one.
When it is revealed that Michael Jackson is not Michael Jackson, there is a wonderful newspaper headline. Michael Jackson hoax, and then the tagline, everyone mad at local boy.
Yeah, which is the same headline that was actually on the front of our local paper when I burnt down that village accidentally.
What?
You don't remember that one? Burnt down that village?
No, I don't remember that.
Okay.
Was I away that week?
Yeah, you weren't at school that week, but it was...
we were at school at the time.
Yeah, it was all over the... Well, I was a boy.
I feel like that story would have lasted longer than a week.
No, by the time you got back, somebody else had burnt down a hospital, so it was...
Jesus. What a weird riff.
Wouldn't worry about it. So, Lisa, it's your birthday.
Sure.
That's how the episode ends, essentially.
Yep.
Something I'd never really noticed until this viewing, because I never really thought about it. Lisa, it's your birthday. There's nothing to that song.
Oh, no.
At all.
I mean, well, you get two versions of it. You get the one that Michael Jackson and Bart sing to Lisa.
Yeah.
And that is just piano and a bingo, which is what I call a bongo made out of a bin.
And what bothers me about that is the bingo bongo sugar in the gas tank is essential to this performance. But Bart walks into that room without an instrument. He walks in, he picks up Lisa's bin, he tips the garbage on the floor, and then starts playing it like a bongo. Like this was unprepared, but it is clearly an essential component. The song ends with a bongo solo.
Yeah. What was his endgame there? Did he walk in knowing that the bin was there and going to be available? Or is Bart a musical genius and he just winged it?
Well, we know that Bart is a genius. Mem saying Bart, Rabbi has memo. Yeah, so I think he's winging it.
Interesting.
He must be. Even though the song would not work without drums.
No, it would be, well, it would be a lot less interesting.
It would be even more inconsequential, or even less consequential, I suppose.
But then the second version of the song we get is over the end credits, we get like a full band version.
Yeah, where Lisa's joining in.
Yeah, with a bit of
save the song.
With a bit of a saxophone.
Yeah.
And that's got, a proper drum kit behind it and stuff like that. So... But even then, it's a very simple song. I think it only has 2 chords.
Yeah,
but
Lisa, it's your birthday. God bless you this day. You gave me the gift of a little sister. I'm proud of you today. I wish you something and something. I wish you something and joy. I wish you better than your heart desires. Your first kiss from a boy. Those are the only lyrics.
8 feels like too young to be wishing kisses from boys.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure to put on an 8-year-old. Like saying, this is the year.
This is the year.
Where some grotty fucking dude is going to kiss you on the mouth. And it's going to be disgusting. It's not cool. It's not a cool thing.
It's not a cool thing for someone to say. And I really hope that the writers have had a good hard long look at themselves about that.
But that is
lyric.
like a thing when you're a kid, like the pressure of knowing that at some point you're meant to have had your first kiss and it hasn't happened yet. Like if that started happening at
sure.
8,
Oh my god.
that would be fucking horrifying.
Can you imagine? Oh.
It's like, imagine if you're 8 and you were thinking, I'm meant to kiss a girl now. Or a boy.
Or a boy.
Yeah. It'd be awful.
Yeah, I mean, when I was 8, my day was revolved mostly around spinning in circles, I think.
Yeah, all
falling
day,
over.
every day.
All day, every day.
Your teacher would say, Nick, you need to sit down. And you'd say, can't sit down now, I'm spinning. Hoo-hoo! And then you vomit it everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
I tried to model. I tried to model myself on Tassie Devil.
Yeah. That's why you kept making those weird noises and spinning around and
Yeah.
What else? Did Tasmanian Devil do anything other than that? Was he like a character?
Yeah, he was a character. He used to spin around and he was a rabble-rouser.
Okay.
He was a...
I mean, I know he was like rambunctious, but was he anything else? Like, did he have a personality?
He was a turbocharged, mega spinny, rambunctious rabble-rouser. The only Tassie Devil quote that I remember, apart from that, no, there's another one, is in Space Jam. When they get to the old basketball gym that's all decrepit and shit, and then they go on a cleaning montage to get it, looking all spick and span and shiny. And Tassie's going around with like a mop with a bucket, and then he zooms right up to the camera and goes, "Lemony fresh."
Yeah, that classic Taz Devil line, lemony fresh.
I say it quite a bit, to be honest.
Don't think I've ever heard you say it.
You've also never seen me clean. Something I do once every 3 years.
Which is funny because I lived with you for quite a long time.
And did I fucking clean while you lived with me? No. How long did you live with me? 6 months.
Well, I mean, it wasn't 6 months, and I didn't clean either because I was depressed and living in your spare room.
Yep.
Just adding to the deep mythology of,
you were in my spare room. We were both in a state of squalor.
of what I used to refer to as the Nick and James extended universe.
I like that.
Yeah. So that's whatever episode we were talking about.
That's S3E1.
Stork Raven Cod. It's about birds and fish.
Stork Raving Cod.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to write that down now so that when we start doing the callbacks to Bort Gets Haught Like a Court, we know that it's Stork
Raven
Cod.
Yep.
Okay. And now we move on to Season 3, Episode 2.
Mr. Lisa goes to Washington, D.C.
Ooh, nice little... It's very geographically accurate of you there, James.
So as we established earlier on in the episode, and I haven't yet decided whether to carry on this gag or not, but we're introduced to Mr. Lisa in this episode, the little man who looks and acts exactly like Lisa Simpson. Yeah.
Chalkboard gang in this one, spitwads are not free speech. Interesting thing about this is, at the end of the episode... I'm jumping all the way to the end. The final shot is Bart using his little bloody... What are those things called? What are the Dennis the Menace things called? His little bloody slingshot to fire something at the irritating piano player.
Yep.
Possibly a spitwad, and I would maintain that was an act of free speech.
But he takes... I think it's a little bigger than a spitwad because the implication seems to be that he has badly injured this man at the end of this episode.
Okay. Maybe bigger than a spitwad.
So Mr. Lisa goes to Washington. The first, 40 fucking minutes of this episode, I swear, is Homer just getting really into a magazine. And then the rest of the episode is Lisa realizing that America's not very good until she thinks maybe it is.
Yeah.
Gonna put it out there. Not my favorite episode. Wasn't really looking forward to watching again. And,
It's not good.
Yeah, this is one of those ones, when we think about classic Simpsons, I tend to assume that they are all good. Until I'm actually watching some of them with a pen and paper in hand, I'm thinking, this one's not great.
Yeah, this one feels weirdly kind of, I'm going to say directionless.
Yeah.
Because it's having a crack at American politics, but also then goes on a completely unresolved pivot to be in favour of the American political system. To show that it can...
Which I guess, especially in the year 2017, and presumably still in 2018 when this episode goes up, seems very tone-deaf. Mm-hmm. I assume the world won't fix itself in the next month before we put this episode up.
Man, it'd be nice if it did. But given that it's been 13 months and the world hasn't fixed itself yet, can't see that happening.
I mean, the mere fact that I can't even think of, like, a person who I could say, oh, the world would be better if we had this president, because then it would just turn out they did something terrible as well. Whoever I could possibly name.
What if we put Milkshake Duck in as president?
I love that milkshake duck. That duck that...
Just got a notification on Twitter. No.
Oh, okay. What does it say?
Have you ever used a shoehorn before?
Sorry, that worked on 2 levels and I really enjoyed it. No, I have not, Nick.
No, I've tried to use one once and I found it frankly baffling.
Yeah, because Homer uses a shoehorn in this episode.
How hard is it? I mean, look, I understand maybe if you've got a mobility issue, but for someone with no mobility issues, I just don't see what a shoehorn is for.
Well, Nick, I think you may have just shoehorned perfectly, so...
Sick.
I think you understand shoehorns perfectly well.
Alright, nice.
So the opening of this episode, Homer gets an issue of Reading Digest.
Reading Digest.
Which is not the most subtle of names.
Nope.
And proceeds to read it and really enjoy it for a length of time. And that's strange. That's a strange way to open an episode.
It is strange to read something and enjoy it. You're right. Have you ever read something and enjoyed it? No, I didn't think so.
Did I ever tell you about the time I won $1,500 in a Reader's Digest competition?
Are you fucking serious?
I'm fucking serious.
No, you haven't told me that.
Okay.
Hang on. We need to come up with a sting for your bloody weird prize winning, because you've had a couple of ridiculous windfalls in the last 10 years.
Well, this one is probably the most ridiculous, so
okay,
let's just put it out there.
We'll start with a bang. So
Reader's Digest, a few years ago, because I'm a freelance writer, I was looking into, where can I make some money? And I wound up on the Reader's Digest website somehow, trying to figure out if I could, scam some money out of them somehow. I say scam, but what I actually mean is swindle. I was having a look, and I saw they had a competition to find Australia's best joke.
Oh, God.
So I thought, okay, I'll, you know what? I'll submit a joke. I'll think of a joke that I've read online somewhere and enjoyed, and I'll submit and see what happens.
Huh.
So I put in a joke, and the joke was, a polar bear walks into a bar and says, I'll have a scotch and Coke. And the bartender says, why the long pause? Polar bear replies, I don't know, I've always had them. That's the joke. Not a great joke. But it was okay, so I submit that. And
I'm laughing more at the concept of that joke than the joke itself.
And every week they would pick like 10 of these jokes, and those people who were one of the 10 would be sent like a prize. It was like a book and like a screwdriver or something. It was a weird prize.
What?
I can't remember exactly. It was some sort of tool and a book of jokes. So they sent me that. I thought, oh, good. I made it into the top 10 that week.
Right.
I forget about this for a while.
Yes.
Weeks later, I'm back on my bullshit, back online, and I think, I wonder like what the jokes they chose for like the final top 10 on this were for Australia, because this is like a worldwide thing where every country would have like a nominee for like the grand final.
Are you... Look, sidebar for a moment.
Sidebar during this long unrelated rant, yep.
Time out during this anecdote.
Yep.
They know that that jokes are not bound by the boundaries of nations, right?
Yeah, but they're trying to find the funniest country, I suppose.
Wow.
So they, I go and check.
What a flawed premise.
And my timing is perfect because not only is the top 10 list up, but it is like just gone up and voting is open, so you can vote for which one you like.
Sick.
And it's kind of hidden away on the website. It was hard to find, but I find it.
Because they're ashamed.
And I see my joke is in there.
Fuck.
And I'm like, that's a bit weird. All right, well, I guess I'll vote for myself. I voted, and mine was in the lead, but, like, the poll was such that I could tell that very few people had voted. Like, it must have been fewer than 10.
Are we talking like a 1 for Martin, 2 for Martin situation?
I think it was, like, everything was a multiple of 10, so it was, like, maybe 10 people had voted, or maybe it was even less than that. Like, maybe everything was a multiple of 11, but I thought, this is interesting. Alright, so I went on Facebook. I made like a page or an event just saying, hey guys, so this is happening and there's like a substantial cash prize of $1,500. If you could go and vote for me, that'd be really good. Because I thought, obviously nobody knows this poll is here, and if I get a really strong lead early on, by the time anyone else finds it, they'll be disheartened and just won't be able to rally their friends to vote for them.
Interesting.
Because they won't think they're able to win.
Sure.
And that turned out to be right, because by the second day I had like 85% of the votes.
Wow.
And I think by the end it had dropped to like 45%, but still like the clear winner.
But still, in a list of 10, 45% is
Yeah.
it's huge.
And the thing is, probably like the fourth best joke there, so, you know, I can't feel too bad.
And here's an interesting way to look at those numbers. More people voted for your joke than voted against same-sex marriage in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, percentage-wise, sure.
No, I'm sure it related to people.
Yeah, I'm sure that
Directly related to
nearly,
people,
you know, what was it, like 7 million people voted?
Something like that.
Yeah. Well done, by the way, Australian public, and fuck you, Australian government, for taking so much time and having a plebiscite. So, what were we talking about? The Simpsons? Reading Digest?
Yeah, you were talking about Reading Digest.
Yeah, it just goes on forever. Did I ever tell you about the time I won like $1,500, by the way?
You did, but can you tell me the story about when you won the enormous block of chocolate?
Oh, that was just like a raffle I entered.
Oh, shit. But
Yeah.
wasn't it like a 70 kilo block? No,
It was 10 kilo.
10 kilo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
okay.
was too much.
It's a lot of chocolate.
Yeah.
Because it was like a Cadbury Dairy Milk block, right?
Yeah.
But like a huge block.
Yeah, 10 kilo.
10 kilo.
It was divided into 5 2-kilo bricks, basically.
No way.
It was fucking massive.
I thought, I wanted it to be one contiguous piece.
Well, with no segmenting? So you're just biting into it?
Sorry. That's, good pick up on my incorrect use of the word contiguous, presumably. No, I wanted it to be an enlarged but standard block.
Yeah. Well, it was still like a 2-kilo block is really big.
Yeah, but I want,
And there were 5 of them.
but I want bigger.
Well, I'm sorry.
You could have got out a little chocolate welder and then like welded along the seams to melt and join them.
Little chocolate welder.
A little chocolate welder.
Hello, it's me, Little Welder.
Oh, little welder.
So The Simpsons.
Now this is a case of nominative determinism you wouldn't believe if it weren't true. My name's Chocolate Welder, and what I do is I weld chocolate.
Jesus fucking Christ. It's gonna be our longest episode and we've said nothing. Fuck. So, this episode has the reverse structure of every other episode. In
How so?
it starts being all about Homer on this very inconsequential plot.
Sure.
And then pivots to being about Lisa like 4 minutes in, and then it's about her for the rest of it.
Good.
Exact reverse of every other episode. So Lisa decides she wants to write an essay for an essay writing competition, and she writes what seems like a pretty bad essay, and then she has a whole journey, and then she writes what seems like a pretty good essay.
Well, I've actually got her essay here.
Okay.
A polar bear walks into a bar.
Okay.
No, sorry, I'm reading from the wrong thing. That was
Okay.
that was your joke. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
It's awkward. I haven't.
Do I have to pay you money now? No, you have to pay me royalties. That's right. Yeah, that's fine. You bought dinner. I just won't pay you back for that.
Oh, okay. Jesus.
What happens in this episode? We see Nelson reading his essay at one point.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
And it turns out Nelson is intensely patriotic and he loves the flag.
Yep. And Nelson says if you're going to burn the flag, you better burn your shirt and your pants and your car and your house and your TV.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for the flag, none of those things would be available to you either. It's
Yeah.
like, well, guess what? None of those things are made in America anymore.
Or by flags.
Or by flags.
Yeah.
And to be honest, in the 90s, most of those things probably weren't made in America either.
No.
Except maybe for cotton dockers, the pants they talk about in this episode of Friends.
Yeah. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. So no one told you that pants could be this way.
Bom, 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 bom. Bom, 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 pants.
That's nothing.
I'm genuinely losing my mind.
I think this entire episode of the podcast has been us trying to avoid talking about Mr. Lisa Goes to Washington.
Yeah.
Just desperately trying to avoid talking about this season 3 episode neither of us really likes.
Even when we were talking about season 3, episode 1, Stark Raving Dad, we were still trying to avoid talking about Mr. Lisa Goes to Washington. So Lisa goes to the statue of the woman who was
Winifred Beecher.
Beechworth Howe.
How? My handwriting's bad. I can't read it. That's all
good. She led the Flormont Rebellion of 1910. After 25 minutes of Google searching, I've determined that there was no Flormont Rebellion of 1910.
Yeah, this person does not exist.
Beechworth Howe does not exist. Kind of disappointing, actually, because, you know, they could have chosen
like an actual woman.
an actual feminist figure.
Yeah.
Like Nancy Morgan Hart, for example.
Yeah. Who is that?
I don't know. That's in a song lyric.
Jesus Christ.
You know the one, so no one told you life was gonna be this way. Nancy Morgan Hart led the feminist way. That one.
Yeah, pretty good.
I mean, it could have been a lot worse. I had nothing at the start of that. Also, I find it interesting that the Springfield newspaper is called the Springfield Shopper, and I get that. I feel like that's meant to be a commentary on how heavily advertising and, you know, not very journalistic the newspaper is. Difficult to be convinced by that because we live in Adelaide and our paper is literally called The Advertiser.
Yes.
We can't get too high on our horse for that one.
We know how we see this newspaper. It's like an incongruous, like old-timey newspaper boy handing out newspapers, say, extra, extra.
Yes.
Which is not played as a joke. There's just a newspaper lad.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is weird. This whole fucking episode is weird.
It's really weird.
So like I said, the plot is basically Lisa thinks that America
Lisa.
is good. Mr. Lisa, I should say.
Lisa.
Thinks that America is good. So she goes to Washington, or he goes to Washington, Mr. Lisa.
Yes, Mr. Lisa.
And says, I'm Mr. Lisa, and I think America is good.
Yes.
But then she sees a congressman getting bribed, and she realizes that America is bad.
Bad.
But then...
Bad like, because it's bad, bad, you know it. Like a Michael Jackson kind
Who
of
is
bad. Oh, that was Leon Kompowski.
Okay.
He's a bricklayer who occasionally recorded songs.
Oh, okay. I assume that was a good impression of Leon Kompowski, but I'm not familiar with him.
Sure.
Definitely wasn't bad. Oh, we like to laugh, but there is a serious side to this podcast as well.
Oh.
Yeah, it's look, if you're addicted to meth, then please seek help. This episode's got my brain twisted.
That was very methy corner. Most corners in my house are very methy corners.
So if Lisa hates this senator and everything he represents,
Congressman, I think.
Well, yeah, she hates the congressman. Then, I mean, wait till she finds out about like the rest of the American political system.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
far out.
And especially in the year 2017, when we're recording this, when things are even crazier than usual in the world, this whole episode where everything sort of corrects itself feels very out of place.
Yeah,
when we, currently have, the president of the United States supporting like an actual pedophile.
Yeah,
it's it's a weird time to be alive.
And not as weird though as when we see President H.W. Bush. He's the president in this episode, isn't he? The older of the Bushes? Because it was George. Is his dad
it's
H?
George Senior.
Oh, it's George Senior. Who's H then? Anyway,
that might be a middle initial.
Boss. Oh yeah, maybe. So we see George Senior, whose character model looks to me quite a lot like Beavis or Butthead.
Yeah, a little more Butthead than Beavis. You pointed that out. While we were watching, you said, why is the president Beavis or Butthead? And I laughed for about a minute and a half straight because it was very, very correct.
I recommend anyone goes, have a quick squeeze at Frankiac. And
just type in Beavis.
Just type in Beavis. Yep. It'll take you straight there.
And we see him removing this congressman from office stamping a paper and saying, oh, that should make my bosses happy. And then we're meant to take this guy as like a South African diplomat, I suppose,
Yeah,
in his
I guess
office.
so.
And he says, your bosses? That's right, all 65 million of them. Very weirdly simpering portrayal of George Bush.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
The president that the Simpsons would later have an open feud with.
It's very strange. There was part of me that wondered if the overlords at Fox came in and said, you can't just make this an entire episode.
You think Rupert Murdoch himself walked in and said, look, someday from now, my house is going to burn down. Until then, are you aware that Rupert Murdoch's house burned down like today?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah, his house burned down.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Was the problem too?
So that wasn't just an incongruous.
That's what I thought it was.
Just imagining, yeah.
I thought you were just going deep down non sequitur lane.
I shouldn't have told you that. You would have checked the news tomorrow and freaked out.
I would have thought that you were Phoebe from Charmed, the one that has premonitions.
Yeah, Phoebe
from Friends.
Yeah. I was trying to think of a way to tie that back together that was more subtle, but I couldn't.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But yeah, Phoebe, the one that spends all the time at Central Perk. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've got nothing else to say about Mr. Lisa Goes to Washington.
I thought it was nice at the end that Bart is supportive of Lisa's essay, which was very clearly Cesspool on the Potomac, I think it was called.
Yeah, Cesspool on the Potomac.
Very clearly the best essay of any of the ones read in this episode.
Belter of an essay.
The only one that actually got to the central truths.
Yes. Mind you, it is hard when you're up against something as quality as ding, religious freedoms, dong, liberty.
Yeah.
My favourite of the
I mean, the
speeches.
winning fucking essay is called USA A-OK. This is toothless. This is a fucking toothless episode.
Toothless.
This is like me after I visited my dentist. Toothless.
Not like the dentist, though, who was mad toothed.
Yeah, it should have been more like my dentist, who is unusually toothy.
Oh, good morning. My name's Unusually Toothy. Now, have you heard of nominative determinism?
Jesus This fucking episode. What are we doing?
This is going to be the one. This is going to be the one where the internet cancels our ability to make this podcast because we're so fucking stupid. They're going to come back to us and say, "No, you've cooked it. You're done."
This is going to be the one where somebody tries to introduce their partner to the podcast. And their partners just sitting there saying, "What the fuck is this?
No,
who are these fucking idiots you've been listening to?"
No, they've got really interesting theories about the show, and they delve into a whole kind of hidden scenes of no. They just don't know the difference between Friends and Seinfeld.
They talk about Reader's Digest for 15 minutes in the middle of it.
They had an argument about the correct way to design 10 kilos of chocolate. What the fuck are they doing?
I thought this podcast was about The Simpsons.
I come from the 10 kilos of chocolate.
I'm sorry, we were talking about chocolate? That was 10 kilos ago. Well, the important thing is that we've enjoyed this one a great deal. Ah, shit.
I'm sorry.
Broken neck. We're going to get to that episode this season. Shit, I've never seen you laugh this hard. Wasn't even a joke.
Well,
So what did we learn this week?
thanks for tuning in to Pod to the Key of Springfield. Join us next week when hopefully we're more sane.
Yeah, we'll talk about The Simpsons next week. Hope everyone had a nice Christmas. And, yeah, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, etc. Woozle wuzzle.
That was 10 kilos ago.
In Springfield.
Fuck.
Can we even put this episode up? Do we need to have another crack at this?
No, I think we're good.
I think we're fine.
It's a free podcast. It's fine.
I'm almost crying.
That was 10 minutes ago.